No one saw this coming. Eamonn Holmes and Ruth Langsford, a couple who built their careers and their marriage side by side, have called it quits after 27 years together. The announcement alone shocked fans. But what Eamonn has now revealed is even more surprising. Behind the polished TV appearances were private health battles, mounting tension, difficult conversations, and a warning that our days are numbered. Ruth has admitted the split left her in shock. Eamonn says the truth is more complicated than anyone realized. So what really happened inside one of Britain's most familiar marriages? And why did it unravel after nearly 3 decades? Stay with us to find out. Eamonn Holmes and Ruth Langsford's love story began quietly in 1997. They were introduced by mutual friend and television presenter Sally Mean at a time when Holmes had recently separated from his first wife. Out of respect for his family, he chose to keep the new relationship private. Langsford noticed something that stood out immediately: his devotion to his children. That sense of responsibility and integrity drew her in. What started discreetly soon grew into something steady and meaningful, and after 2 years, they decided to make their relationship public. In 2002, their connection deepened when they welcomed their son, Jack. Langsford has often recalled how she discovered she was pregnant the day before her godson's christening. Holmes was away at the time, so she shared the news first with her best friend, Sam. A small but emotional moment that stayed with her. It became one of those intimate memories that defined their early years together. By 2006, their personal partnership had expanded into a professional one. Holmes joined Langsford as co-host of the Friday edition of This Morning, strengthening their on-screen presence as a couple. Langsford, who had already been part of the show since 1999, found that working alongside her husband brought both comfort and tension. She later admitted that disagreements were unavoidable, but mutual respect helped them navigate the pressures of sharing both a home and a studio. Their collaboration extended far beyond one program. Together, they fronted a range of television projects, including Gift Wrapped, How the Other Half Lives, and Lose a Stone in 4 weeks. They even led shows built around their own dynamic, such as Eamonn and Ruth's 7-Year Itch. Holmes once joked that retirement wasn't really an option. Viewers, he teased, wouldn't know what to do without them. In 2010, after 13 years together and several years after Holmes finalized his divorce, Eamonn Holmes and Ruth Langsford married in an elegant ceremony at Elvetham Hall in Hampshire. The celebration marked what many saw as the solidifying of a long and steady partnership. They later moved into a spacious 6-bedroom home in Weybridge, Surrey, a symbol of the career success they had built side by side. Their bond appeared strong in public. When Langsford competed on Strictly Come Dancing in 2017, she spoke warmly about Holmes's patience and unwavering support during the intense rehearsal schedule. She often said they understood each other well, a couple comfortable both on and off screen. But cracks began to show in 2020. In November of that year, the pair were suddenly removed from their regular hosting roles on This Morning. The decision sparked backlash from viewers, and Holmes later claimed there had been no warning. He suggested the move followed controversial comments he made on air-questioning reports linking 5G technology to COVID-19. Ofcom received complaints and ruled the remarks lacked scientific basis. Holmes did not back down. He defended his right to question mainstream narratives and later described his dismissal as politically motivated. Soon after, he joined GB News to host a breakfast program. Professionally, he moved forward, but privately, tensions were growing. On May 25, 2024, after 14 years of marriage, Holmes and Langsford announced their separation. Reports indicated that losing their roles on This Morning may have intensified strain at home. Holmes's frustration, particularly regarding longtime colleague Philip Schofield, reportedly created further tension. Langsford, still working at ITV on Loose Women, found herself balancing professional commitments with personal loyalty. The reasons behind Eamonn Holmes and Ruth Langsford's separation appear layered and deeply personal. Years of demanding television schedules, time spent living in different locations, and the pressures of public life gradually took a toll. Some close to the situation have suggested that Holmes's declining health may also have cast a long shadow over their relationship. In recent years, Holmes has faced a series of serious medical challenges. For decades, he quietly endured chronic pain in his hips, legs, and back, pain that often kept him awake at night. By the time he underwent a double hip replacement at 55, he later admitted he regretted waiting so long to address it. In 2018, he was struck by shingles, an illness he believed was triggered by the stress of a prolonged dispute with HMRC. His condition worsened again in 2021, when 3 slipped discs in his spine severely affected mobility in his right leg. Everyday movement became difficult. In September 2022, he underwent spinal surgery in hopes of improving his quality of life. While the procedure eased some of the back pain, it left him with weakness and instability in his left leg. What followed was a devastating setback. On October 11, 2022, Holmes fell down 18 stairs at home, breaking his shoulder and suffering heavy bleeding. The injury was so serious that he was unable to attend his mother's funeral, a loss that deeply affected him. Since then, Holmes has committed himself to recovery with intense determination. His routine includes daily physiotherapy sessions, targeted exercises, and even cold showers aimed at strengthening his resilience. Despite the effort, progress has been slow. He has relied on walking sticks, a wheelchair, and at times, a mobility scooter. Photographs have shown him continuing treatment with physiotherapists, determined to regain independence. Still, Holmes has openly acknowledged the possibility that he may never fully recover. In 2022, Ruth Langsford spoke openly about the impact Eamonn Holmes's health struggles were having on their marriage and family life. With characteristic honesty, she described the uncertainty of supporting a partner through long-term recovery while trying to keep daily life stable. Behind the scenes, it was not easy. The emotional and physical toll of caregiving, combined with their already demanding careers, created a quiet strain. In time, speculation grew that these pressures may have contributed to the eventual breakdown of their relationship. For more than 15 years, Holmes and Langsford had been one of British television's most recognizable couples. Their easy chemistry on This Morning made them feel relatable and inseparable. Viewers had watched them laugh, debate, and navigate live television together. That history made the announcement of their divorce earlier this year all the more shocking. After 14 years of marriage, their partnership had come to an end. As details emerged, reports suggested that Langsford may have initiated the separation, partly due to the weight of Holmes's ongoing health challenges. Public reaction was divided. Some sympathized with her, understanding the strain that long-term illness can place on a relationship. Others focused on Holmes, who was still battling mobility issues and facing an uncertain recovery. Soon after the split became public, Holmes was seen with a new partner, Katie Alexander, who is significantly younger. The two were photographed on holiday in Spain, visiting Barcelona and Ibiza. Holmes, using an electric wheelchair, appeared relaxed and smiling as they shopped, dined, and spent time together. The images sparked conversation, with many wondering how the new relationship might affect an already delicate situation. Langsford, however, has chosen to remain composed and largely silent, avoiding public commentary on Holmes's new chapter while focusing on her own path forward. Ruth Langsford made headlines for what many described as a subtle but sharp moment of payback. When Eamonn Holmes asked to return to their former home to collect belongings ahead of a Mediterranean cruise with his new partner, Katie Alexander, Ruth agreed. But before he arrived, she had the 2,000-pound stair lift, installed in 2022 to help with his mobility, quietly removed. When Holmes turned up and discovered the lift was gone, The visit reportedly became far more difficult than expected. Some observers viewed the move as petty, but friends of Ruth suggested it was more tongue-in-cheek than malicious, a reminder that beneath her calm exterior she still had a sense of humor. If nothing else, it showed she wasn't entirely without her own form of commentary. Behind the scenes, however, the divorce itself appears anything but lighthearted. Ruth has enlisted Catherine Costley, a highly regarded divorce lawyer known for handling complex, high-profile cases. Costley's reputation for tough representation signals that negotiations may not be straightforward. Meanwhile, Holmes and Katie have been far more visible. Their relationship, reportedly dating back more than a decade in some form, has fueled speculation. Early accounts suggested they connected through social media around 2015. More recent reports claim their acquaintance may trace back to 2012, when Katie was still married to her former husband, George Alexander. According to George, what began as playful online exchanges gradually turned into a lasting friendship. He once joked about Katie fangirling over Holmes. There is no evidence of a romantic relationship during her marriage, but reports suggest that in the year before Holmes's separation from Ruth, he had begun giving Katie generous gifts, including concert tickets and holidays. Since their relationship became public, Eamonn Holmes and Katie Alexander have appeared increasingly comfortable in the spotlight. In August, they traveled to Holmes's hometown of Belfast, where they were seen dining at the same restaurant 4 days in a row. Not long after, they attended a friend's wedding in Essex, posing for photos with the bride, TV presenter Hayley Sparks. Katie wore a sleek black gown, while Holmes opted for a tailored blue suit. Both looked relaxed and unmistakably together. Those close to them say the relationship is moving at pace. Reports suggest the pair have even discussed finding a home together. Despite their 22-year age difference, Katie has reportedly described Holmes as her soulmate. Friends note that she has previously dated older men, including a former partner decades her senior, with whom she shares a son. At the same time, Ruth Langsford's legal team has been carefully examining the timeline of Holmes and Katie's connection. Sources claim they are seeking clarity on when the relationship truly shifted from friendship to romance. That process has reportedly involved speaking with individuals in their shared social circles, including Katie's former husband, George. Holmes and Katie maintain that their relationship only turned romantic after their previous relationships had ended. To counter speculation, they have reportedly contacted former partners to reinforce that earlier interactions were purely platonic. The couple made their first official public appearance together at the Irish Post Awards, arriving elegantly dressed and staying close throughout the evening. However, Holmes is said to have asked photographers not to capture them seated together at their table. Amid the headlines and speculation, Ruth Langsford has kept her focus on moving forward. She once compared her marriage to Eamonn to the passionate, complicated love story of Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor, full of highs and lows, but deeply bonded. Still, she seems to understand that their story will not end in a dramatic reunion. Earlier this year, Eamonn openly admitted he was struggling and described his circumstances as deeply challenging. For now, he appears to have found comfort in Katie Alexander, a relationship counselor known for her calm and empathetic presence. Ruth, meanwhile, has handled the separation with measured composure. Only months ago, she told a fan she was still married when asked why she continued wearing her wedding ring. But with Eamonn now appearing publicly with Katie more frequently, and Ruth assembling a formidable legal team to protect her interests, it feels increasingly clear that this chapter is nearing its formal conclusion. Professionally, Eamonn has also found himself under fresh scrutiny. During a live GB News breakfast broadcast, he became involved in a tense exchange with co-host Isabel Webster. The discussion centered on journalist Jan Wertheim's off-air remarks about tennis champion Barbara Krejcikova's appearance. Isabel strongly condemned the comments as inappropriate. Eamonn attempted to inject humor into the debate, suggesting that reactions to such remarks can sometimes be overly sensitive. The attempt fell flat. Isabel firmly countered, arguing that female athletes face disproportionate scrutiny over their looks. Eamonn responded that public commentary often targets men as well, joking that his own appearance would not escape criticism if he were a professional athlete. While he appeared to aim for levity, many viewers sided with Isabel, agreeing that the original comments were unnecessary. The controversy intensified after Krejcikova herself addressed the issue online, expressing disappointment that her performance had been overshadowed by remarks about her looks. Tennis Channel subsequently suspended Wertheim. For Eamonn, it was another reminder that both his personal and professional lives are unfolding under a sharper spotlight than ever. Most recently, on February 21, 2026, Ruth Langsford spoke publicly in depth about the end of her marriage to Eamonn Holmes, and her words revealed just how deeply the split affected her. The couple's relationship had broken down in 2024, but Ruth, now 65, described the separation as a huge shock. While Holmes has since moved on and found love again with Katie Alexander, Ruth remains single and reflective about what happened. Speaking candidly, she admitted she once believed her marriage was a happy one. "I had a very happy marriage," she said. "Of course you question yourself. Did I miss something? Was I not aware? Was I too busy? But there's no point playing the blame game." What hurt most, she explained, was how sudden it felt. "I just didn't think I'd find myself here, and I wasn't strong at the start. I was broken heart, broken dreams." She described the collapse of their 27-year relationship as something that felt almost impossible to survive. In her mind, their life had a certain shape and future. "We all have an image of how we think our life is going to be. This wasn't mine," she admitted. "We had gone from being a couple, traversing the usual ups and downs of a marriage, to an abrupt end." Ruth and Eamonn began dating in the mid-1990s, married in 2010, and share a 23-year-old son, Jack. She also revealed a moment that quietly stayed with her, when she once suggested having another child. Looking at Jack as a toddler, she asked, "Should we have another one?" Eamonn reportedly replied, "Jesus, really? 4 kids?" The comment, she said, made her step back. At 42, she chose gratitude over pushing for more. Since the separation, Ruth has turned to counseling and continues to attend sessions. She describes it as very powerful and very useful, helping her process emotions rather than suppress them. "It gives me tools," she said. Though she once resisted therapy after her sister's death, this time she allowed herself the support. And slowly, she is rebuilding, not the life she imagined, but one she is learning to accept. That's a wrap for today's video. Thanks for hanging out with us. See you next time. Bye.